They come from every corner of the world, with powers we only dream of. Here to battle the forces of nature, known for their strength, their boldness, their intelligence, and their courage. Some are witty, some are sweet, but most of all, they are Silky Momz.
Are you going to try to get a different pump, or are you going to use the same pump?
I'm probably going to, I actually just talked about it to my mom this morning, because she's got a coworker who has a pump that she didn't use a lot. So she was like, I don't know, maybe you want to try it, but I can get another one through my insurance. I just don't know what kind of pump to get, because I went through 2 with Cadmus and neither of them had enough suction behind them. So they just didn't do me any good. So I don't know if I want to just hand pump this time and get one of those that I can actually.
No, they're awful. I have one. They're bad. They're not fun.
Okay, well, I guess I'm stuck still.
Yeah, sorry.
Hi guys, welcome back to Silky Momz. This is a podcast where we talk about all things mom, what it takes to be a mom, all the fun stuff about
all
being
the mom
a mom
things.
I'm Amber.
And I'm Sydney.
And today we are going to talk about the dad brag.
The dad brag.
I know.
Which is really funny because shortly before this, we were venting our frustrations of bringing toddlers to bed, which is a dad thing. But it's fine.
Totally a dad thing. So this week, the dad brag kind of centers around our significant others and how they dad, but also a little bit about our dads and how they compare. So the first thing on our topic list is how did you meet your significant other?
I met mine. He was going to school at Bethany. I was going to school at Concordia.
Oh.
Yeah, that didn't last very long. It's not that interesting of a story. And we were both working at Olive Garden. He was a busboy and I was a waitress.
Oh, what a lovely romantic get together.
Yeah, very much so. I still had my moped at the time. So our first date, I rode my moped to IHOP and met him at IHOP.
Oh.
It was the only place open after we closed.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Yeah.
I met Barnabas in a bar, which is really funny, but it's the stereotypical tropey love story. I was there with a friend, we were playing pool, and I was already pretty drunk. And then he shows up also already drunk, having not even been at the bar. So
love at first sight.
Yeah. So he comes up and he's getting drinks with his friend and everything. And I'm playing music on the radio. And he's like, oh yeah, I really like this song. So he's trying to figure out who's playing the music. He finally finds out that it's me. And then we strike up a conversation. And then that was it. And then he went home and he didn't talk to me for 3 months.
Oh, I didn't realize it was that long.
Yeah, it was forever. He didn't talk to me for he dated 2 people in that time. And then he gets a hold of me. Right. He gets a hold of me and he was like, hey, so I really liked you, but I kind of messed it up not talking to you. You still want to hang out? And I was like, I mean, sure, why not?
I struck out with 1 and 2. Third time's the charm.
But right. And then I was like, I mean, yeah, sure, we'll hang out. And then we did. And then the rest is history.
Well, very nice.
Yeah. It was very interesting meeting somebody at a bar. People tell you that that's how it happens, but
how long did you guys date before I guess you really kind of moved in and did the whole relationshipy thing?
Not very long.
Yeah.
A couple months really. It wasn't long at all. And that was kind of a product of my past relationship ending when it did. So I needed somewhere to go, and so did he, because he was renting from a friend and he was absolutely tired of being there. He wanted to be on his own. So I was like, well, we could go in together on an apartment. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. So we did.
You trauma bonded.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep, we definitely trauma bonded. He would get a kick out of that.
Milt and I dated on and off for 10 years. Well, not 10 years, sorry. We've been together. We've known each other for 10 years.
Okay.
We dated on and off for about 7 or 8 years.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. Here you go, giving Barn a hard time about dating other people for 3 months.
It was a me thing, really.
Okay.
Yeah, we could just leave it at that. There's a lot more drama involved, but we don't need to get into it.
That's so
it all
funny.
worked out in the end.
That's good.
But and here's the funny part, like every single time like we broke up, I broke off like all contact. Like,
oh my gosh,
no,
like you blocked him and
blocked
deleted
him,
him.
deleted him.
Harsh.
So when I got out of my
So
relationship in like November of 2019, Facebook dating, I guess, became a thing.
Oh yeah,
like
I forgot
it
that
came out.
existed.
Like, and I'm
Oh.
like, oh, let's try this. And like
Heebie-jeebies.
2 swipes later, Milton pops up on my
Gosh
phone.
dang it.
And if you don't know how Facebook dating works, it does not match you with your friends. It matches you with your friends' friends.
Yeah.
And so since we still had, friends in
Mutuals,
common, mutual
right.
friends, he popped up and we started talking again. And then, 2-3 months later, we found out we were pregnant. So, and then the world ended. So it was great.
That's kind of almost exactly how it happened for Barn and I. Like, we got our apartment together and everything was great. I was on birth control and then, oops, I'm pregnant.
I was definitely not on birth control.
Right.
So
I got pregnant on hormonal daily pills. Man.
Wow.
Like, Jesus.
were you the girl that sets the alarm to make sure you take your pill at the same time every day?
Yep. Sure enough.
When I was doing the pill, I did not. I was like, oh man, it's like, man, I should probably take that. I
Right.
forgot. I was not that person, which is why I have an IUD now. Highly recommended.
Nice.
I don't have to deal with anything.
So the next thing is overcoming some stereotypes with your significant other, and mine kind of was the same way, but in a different vein. I was married technically when I met Barnabas.
I wish I had some tea right now.
I know, we need some hot tea. I was married when I met Barnabas, and so it was interesting trying to explain to my family why I got divorced and then started a relationship again so fast, because like I had technically left that relationship, that marriage, very very long time ago, previously to meeting Barnabas. Like I had checked out, he had checked out, we were both separated pretty much. But legally I hadn't become divorced yet. And so like I had already moved in with Barn. We'd already been dating for a few months before my divorce was even fully processed. So people were like, oh, this is scary and gross, but like not really as much as they would expect. Like I was pretty much single for, I don't know, half a year, maybe longer before I met Barn. So
yeah, mine was more of, because in this time span, I...
And then we got pregnant right afterwards.
Yeah.
Like I announced my divorce and then like 2 months later announced I was pregnant. And everybody was like, Jesus, what is this woman doing?
Yep, sounds familiar because
Yeah.
we started dating in December of 2019. I announced in January of 2020 that I was moving to McPherson. I moved to McPherson in February of 2020, which Milton lived in McPherson. But I got a job in McPherson with the city of McPherson where he works. And then, let's see, that's February 2020. And then in March 2020, I found out I was pregnant. And the only people that have ever met Milton is like my mom, my brother, my sister-in-law, and my stepdad.
Wow.
No one else knew Milton existed.
That's crazy.
And so I had to tell all my family. By the way, I started dating this guy. I moved. Luckily, I bought a 3-bedroom house.
Right.
And we are having a baby. So,
I'm sure that shocked everybody.
a little bit. And I had a lot of, like, some negative, mostly positive.
Yeah, same.
And, I mean, we are in Kansas. And
Oh, yeah. Very Bible Belty of us.
very
for
Bible Belty.
not
And
getting married and having kids and just doing it so
and
fast.
so I had one family member who texted me a lot of very interesting things. And for those who don't know, Milton was black. So I had, there was, I don't know how to describe this without just sobbing, because there's very stereotypical, like, black dad stereotypes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And defying those and getting people to understand without them actually meeting, because then we got into COVID, so nobody met
could
anybody.
even meet him.
Yeah.
Right.
So I had family members reach out to me and say things like, I have the screenshots pulled up just so you guys know I'm not crazy. I'm not going to share them with you, But, or I mean, I'm not going to show you. I'll just share pieces and parts of it. But I had one family member who, I'll just read this. And Milton has kids from a previous relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, if this man didn't marry the first baby mom, do you think he will marry you? And
Ouch.
here's the deal. That was never even a discussion.
Yeah.
Like, Milton and I were like, that was the last thing of our
Right.
worries.
Same.
And the text message reads on, that is a serious question to ask yourself before you name the baby. Because the whole reason this existed is because I created a group on Facebook called Baby Collins. And that was just going to be all of the immediate family, a couple friends. That's the baby update page.
Right.
Because I didn't want it all over Facebook because
Yeah.
Milton and I were working together. No one there
Needed to know or
needed
knew
to
already.
know because they didn't even know we were dating. So to go
So they
on.
noticed the last name was his.
Yeah,
and
noticed
then-
the last name was his and then sent me this text message. They go on to say, have some pride in the whole situation. He doesn't deserve to own the last name of the baby if he doesn't marry you.
Yikes.
Oh,
Look, it's so much harder to change a kid's name after you've named them. So, like, if you fully expect to be with that person, give them their name,
Well,
you know?
And it's not even that. It's like Maverick has his last name.
Yeah.
Kimberlyn has his
Right,
last name.
all of his
like,
kids do.
All the kids have Collins as their last name.
Right.
Like, my whole thing was I really wanted the kids to be, like, full siblings. I
Yeah,
never
yeah.
wanted Madeline to feel like a half sibling.
Right.
Ever. That was never my intention.
Right.
Because then it goes on, they keep talking and say, later in your life, you marry the man of your dreams. You have the option for him to adopt the baby and give him his last name.
Yikes.
If you give the baby the father's name now, you give up that option. Think a little ways ahead.
Dang.
Which is like, you have to think about, like, and I think about this from a legality standpoint.
Right.
Like, in order for this to happen,
Right.
there has to be no dad on the birth certificate.
Yeah.
Milton's not even remotely in the picture.
Right.
Like, none, like,
Right. Milton
none
would have
of
had
that.
to sign away his parental
Yeah.
rights. Like
that doesn't make a
Right.
bit of sense.
Right.
Like,
Yikes.
at all. Even, I just,
Right. And if he was going to do that anyways, they could adopt and change your kid's last name anyways if that happened.
yeah.
Like, even to this day. Like,
And so my,
it's a lot of presumption on that
A
person's
lot.
part.
and it was just so frustrating because that was, like, I fully believe that was based on race.
Right.
Like,
Oh,
I really
yeah.
do.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's just, I mean, there are those stereotypes. I'm not saying those stereotypes don't exist, but there are so many dads who are black who are amazing dads. Milton is one of those. And it just floors me. Because one of the, like, when we got pregnant, I like laid down the rules. I go, this baby is not a weekend baby.
Right.
It's not like, oh,
Yeah.
you're going to see your
Yeah.
kid every other weekend. No, that's not what's going to happen. You're going to be this baby's dad. Whatever happens between you and I, you're going to be this baby's dad.
Right.
That and don't make me hate you. Whatever happens
Right.
in our relationship, don't make me hate you because
Right.
that'll make my job as parenting and
Way harder.
co-parenting way harder.
Right.
So
Right.
those are my two rules.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, okay. Like, that's easy.
Right. Yeah.
So-
See, like Barn and I, we clicked so well. Like it was obvious. Like we had found the other half of us like so quick. And like the first couple of months we lived together, we already knew that we were going to live together for forever. And then when we got pregnant, it was like, well, I guess we need to look for a house. So our house is on both of our names. The mortgage is in both of our names. Our cars are in both of our names. Like our payments for those, the insurance, everything is in both of our names because we expect to just be together forever until we die.
Yeah.
So like getting married wasn't the first thing on our mind, especially because at that time I was working a much lower paying job and I qualified for can care. So like if I were to get married to anyone, it would have doubled our income and I wouldn't have qualified.
Oh.
So staying single and being a single mom was good for me. So we left it that way. So.
Yeah. Gosh, I don't know. It just makes me so angry. It does.
It does.
Because dads get such a bad rap, and I just know so many good dads that it just
I was
just
told
makes
the
my
same
blood
thing.
boil.
I was even told the same thing by the nurse. Like, make sure you know whose name you're going to put on this birth certificate. And I'm like, his, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, he's the baby dad. That's that's whose name we're going to put on it. Like, we're going to get married sometime in the future, and then my name will change, and we'll all have the same last name, and it'll be fine. And she's like, okay, but you have to make sure as soon as you put his name down, he's got legal rights and all the blah, 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 blah. I'm like,
Yeah, I don't want to do this alone.
Right?
I
Yeah.
am for sure putting his name down.
right, that's the point. Right. So, you know, I get it. Mine's probably not racially based, but it's definitely out of wedlock having a baby based. Like, and around here, that's not the most friendly thing looked upon. That's for certain.
Out of curiosity, so I have several friends who have recently gotten either married or some have kids, but some have decided to maintain their own name, their original name,
Yeah.
instead of taking their spouse's name.
That's another thing. A lot of people do that. Like, Barn and
lot
I
of
could
people.
get married and I could just stay Benning, but
Yeah.
people would still assume we're not married. Like,
It's super common. Yeah, it is super common these days. I
Right.
guess I never even thought about that.
right.
I mean, there's not necessarily... Is there a benefit, really, to taking
No.
the last name other than just for the sake of normality?
I
Yeah,
know.
that's it.
Yeah, normality, family unit, bonding, things along those lines. But a lot of women don't do it anymore because either one,
They have degrees in
they
their
have
name.
degrees in their name. Like, you'll see a lot of this in lawyers and doctors where their law degrees and their doctorates are in their maiden names because they hadn't gotten married yet. So they'll keep their maiden name.
Yeah. Yep, like my master's degree has Benning on it, so if I were to change my name to Wooler, then my my master's degree wouldn't have my name on it anymore. So it's also a pain in the ass changing your name. Men don't
is.
understand how awful that shit is. You got to go get your like social security number changed. You have to go get your driver's license
bank
changed, all
accounts.
your bank accounts, all your mortgage accounts, all your payment accounts,
Insurance.
all your insurance accounts.
Yeah, you guys just
Like-
sit back and relax.
Oh my
and we're over
God.
here going from building to building to building.
Crying most of the time because they want all of these crazy things. They're like, we want 6 proofs of ID, and I'm like, I have all of these things, and they're like, none of them have the real last name on them, and I'm like, I have a marriage license, and they're like, that's not a good enough thing, and I'm like, I can't change my name other places until I change it here, and they're like, too bad, you need letters and stuff that have Wooler on it as your last name, and I'm like, they're not gonna change it until I have an ID that has my last name changed on it. Yeah, it's a train wreck.
So
It sucks.
do you think that you will... Because like, I know several as well who have merged their last names with like the hyphen.
Yeah.
Is that something that you would prefer to do, or like have your spouse take your name? Do you have a preference?
Oh, I'm going Collins. I'm just tired of people mispronouncing.
Knowing who you are.
Well, no, not necessarily that. But just growing up with the last name. So my last name is spelled R-E-I-C-H, which is the Third Reich.
Reich.
But we
it's
pronounce it Rich because
Right.
of the Third Reich. And it's just,
Right.
it's old.
Yeah.
I love my family. If you're listening, I appreciate it. Grandma and Grandpa, apologies. But I'm ready.
Right. Yeah, same. I didn't change my name legally when I got married the first time. Just because I already didn't really like the whole idea of being married. I just did it for funsies, I guess. It was a bad excuse. But I didn't change my name.
It's fair.
And kept my name. So, no, this time I think I'll probably change my name because I'm a little more invested this time. It actually feels right. So,
Yeah. Same.
yeah.
Yeah, man. So what was a moment you knew Barn was a good dad? Like, do you have that moment where you like saw an interaction between him and Cadmus, or even when you were pregnant, that was like, oh yeah.
So when I was pregnant, he pretty much took care of like everything. I wasn't miserable the first time I was pregnant like I am this time, but he still took care of a lot of stuff. And then right when the baby got here, he took over at the hospital. Like I had the baby, I held him, I breastfed him, but like I fell asleep and Barnabas did everything else. He did the ears and eyes and hearing checks. He did all the poking and prodding with the nurses on the baby. He filled out all the paperwork. Like he did everything, and I just slept through it. So
Man,
it was great.
Milton handed me a clipboard while I was in the shower. So, which was the part that I needed to sign in order
Yeah.
to make him the dad. So
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. That makes sense.
there's some urgency there.
Right.
I think he didn't want that poor admin lady to leave and never come back.
Yeah, I get it. I for sure get it. But he did. He took care of everything. He changed the baby's diaper, all kinds of stuff. But like, I think the first time that I knew he was going to be a good dad wasn't really in relation to me at all. It was his sister's kid. We had been like watching him occasionally while she still lived here in town, and he would like take him to the park, and he would go play with him and like do fun stuff with him and get him remote control cars and, you know, just do all these dad things with his nephew. And it was like, this guy's going to be a good dad.
Yeah, mine, because Milton has always been a dad. I've always known him as a dad.
Yeah.
But I think mine was, I was pregnant with Madeline. We were all at his house because we didn't live together until like 4 or 5 months after Madeline was born. We still had 2 separate households.
Yeah.
And we were at his house. He was teaching the kids to cook, or the kids were helping him cook, and I'm just sitting there on the couch. The next thing I know, he's like, because Maverick was probably, I don't know, 2 at the time. And so Kimberly's cooking, and he did the dad thing where he just kind of feeds Maverick, feeds the toddler. And Maverick would come over, and he'd go, I got a sausage. I'm like, I see that. He's like, yeah. And he'd
That's
come
cute.
over, and it's just like teaching them and like recognizing like they're little tiny people, they're human beings. And that was really kind of my heartfelt moment.
Oh, that's
So
pretty
like,
cute.
It's gonna be, I got a sausage. Yeah, you do, man. You got you. And he's like, oh, it's hot. I'm like, yeah, your dad literally just picked it up out of the pan.
Right. So how did you tell people you were pregnant? Like, how'd you announce it?
I called people.
I did too. I only called the people I wanted to call. Like, I didn't go public with it. Like, I told my parents, and I told like my grandparents, and that was.
Yeah, I called the important people. My grandmother, the one that I've previously talked about that called me fat, I called her, and she had actually met Milton because Milton helped us shop for houses.
Oh, cool.
And she just happened to be in town. So she met Milton and was like, oh man, he's a super nice guy, blah, 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 blah. And then I told her I was pregnant. Milton was the dad. And she's like, oh, Sydney. Like, you were singing his praises 6 months ago, man.
Right.
Or 3 months ago, a month ago,
That's so
however
funny.
long it was.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the heck? She's like,
My-
oh, Sydney.
My parents like were pretty surprised, but they were like surprised, you know? Like, like, oh, that was fast.
My mom helped me buy this house that I had in McPherson, and she knew like Milton and I were dating.
Yeah.
And I found out I was pregnant, like again, like right after this, so fast. So I told, and like I found out, I think I was week 5 into week 6 of being pregnant, and I told Milton, I go, I can't hide this from my mom because she's
gonna know.
She's just bent over backwards to get me to McPherson.
Right.
I can't lie to her. And he's like, yeah, I get that. So he went with me to go to my mom's house, and
that's nice, though.
she was doing yard work, and I was like, yeah, we're gonna come say hi or whatever. And she's like, okay. So she took a break. She's eating. We were just chatting, and she just looks at me, goes, so why are you here?
Deer in the headlights, like,
yeah. And I go, well, I'm pregnant.
right.
She's like, okay, it was about time you had kids. I was worried you weren't going to pop out any of them. I was like,
Thanks.
that works. Thanks, Mom.
Oh
Later
my
on, she's like, did I react okay? And I was like, yes, you reacted fine. Thank you.
Fine. Right.
And then she proceeded to tell me you have to
my
have
God.
a girl. And I was like, oh,
Yeah. Well,
okay, pressure's on. But
right.
okay.
Let me just tell my body what DNA to pick, you know.
But yeah, that's how I told.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, so with Madeline being mixed, and she looks very white. So she came out somehow pasty like me. Luckily, she tans very well, but she got Milton's curly hair, Milton's brown eyes, nose. Thank the Lord she got his jawline, because I obviously don't have one.
She's a stinking cute baby.
She's a very cute baby. But we had an encounter the other day, and Milton and I never go to the grocery store together, ever. Normally I go or he goes. That's just how it is. And so on Sunday, I was like, I want to go to the grocery store together. It's like basically like a date. Because we never do those things. And so we're at the checkout line, and this gal who was running all the I don't know, self-checkouts said something, and we're like, I'm sorry, what? And then she said something, and we just could not understand her. And then I guess what she was we asked her probably 3 times what she was trying to say, and then she goes, is she mixed? And I'm looking at
What a weird question.
Yeah.
What a weird question.
Yeah. And I'm looking at me, and I'm looking at Milton, and Milton looks at me, and we both look at Battle, and we're like, yeah? She's like, oh, yeah, like me. And I'm like,
strange.
cool.
Neat. Yeah, people just, they keep audacity in weird places.
like, I understand probably the curiosity.
Yeah, right. But what a weird question to just ask a stranger in public.
Yeah. Because it's just really odd. I did ask Milton multiple times, like after she was born. I go, if you wanted a paternity test, I would not blame you.
Right.
Because she came out pasty white. And I'm like, but I promise 110,000% this baby is yours.
Yeah. You can see it as she gets older, though.
Yeah.
Like, I can look at her, and I can definitely see some Milton there. So.
And so, yeah, I told him that after she was born. He goes, no. And I'm like, okay, I'm just letting you know.
Right.
I get it.
I wouldn't freak out if he asked, right?
I mean, he's pretty light-skinned. But anyway, because he gets a farmer's tan. Like, that's how. He gets a farmer's tan in the summer, and it's pretty funny.
Nice.
But anyway, so let's take a break here real quick, and we'll come back. We're going to talk about baby shower versus baby sprinkles.
Yeah, for the second
the second baby.
Yeah.
All right, Amber, are you having a sprinkle?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think. I don't know. I don't know what like the dividing line between it being like a baby shower and being a baby sprinkle is. Like, I kept most of my baby gear from the first one. So like I have a stroller, I have a swing, I've got all the big stuff. Like I got a crib, a changing table. So like really all we need is like some clothing and diapers,
Yeah. So. My sister-in-law had a sprinkle for Finn because she had 2 boys too.
Yeah.
And we did basically, it was like diaper raffle, clothes. Yep. There was actually a couple items because she had gotten rid of because I think they're 3 or 4 years apart.
Yeah.
I think.
Mine will be 3 years apart.
Yeah.
So like some of that stuff is on the edge of going, but like a changing table, it ain't going anywhere. You
know? But who threw your baby shower the first time around?
Technically myself.
Oh,
like, well, because like at the time Barnes' sister was out of town. All of my family lives out of town. Barnes' mom is the only one that lives here with us. And I didn't want to put it all on her, that's for sure. But we didn't like go all out or anything. I made a cake and like blew up a few balloons and called it good. Like I didn't do anything crazy, but they were the ones that like supplied the most like of the other stuff. So like all the gifts, some of the food, some of the drinks, they all just kind of brought it with them.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
My sister-in-law threw mine. My sister-in-law, my mom, and my best friends kind of chipped in. There was a little. It was really funny because like. Because I guess my best friends were supposed to bring the games, and they thought they were just supposed to bring the prizes for the games, and so they're like, "Okay, it's time for games," and they both looked at each other, and no one brought stuff for games.
That's so funny.
So like we stole like toilet paper out of the bathroom to do like the measuring thing, and we did the "What's in your purse" game, and
that's so funny.
We had lots of prizes, no games.
Yeah. We made a cake, and then Barnabas was like, I want to make macaroons. And I'm like, okay, we can go for it. Yeah, let's try it. So like we made macaroons and a cake, and it was superhero themed because his room was going to be Marvel themed. So
I'm pretty sure I went to that, and if I remember correctly, those macaroons were
good, weren't they?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
They were incredible.
Yeah.
So I tried to look up some stuff about sprinkles. It's actually pretty normal.
Really?
Yeah.
That makes sense because I still have a lot of stuff. Like I have like big 50-gallon totes full of
Oh,
clothing
wow.
that like Cadmus just grew out of. I think I had a friend who had a boy right after me, and I took all of the like newborn to like 3-6
Yeah.
months, and I gave it all to her. So like I don't have a lot of little bitty stuff, but like from 6 months all the way up to like 2T, I've got
Are you
ton of
worried?
clothes.
Because Cadmus was born in December.
Yeah.
And your next one's born in
Yep.
July. Are you worried that like the sizes aren't going to match up with,
With
the
the
seasons?
Sometimes, yeah, but we were bad at matching sizes and seasons already, so
Well, that's fair.
we've got a pretty good mix. Like, he's got shorts and pants in every size because, like, we keep the house warm during the winter, so, like, he would run around in shorts because he was an overheating little dude. Like,
Yeah.
his cheeks get really red and he starts sweating, so, like, we would put him in shorts indoors, so.
Well, I guess that
Right,
works.
Right.
Matt, I don't think we kept any of Matt. I don't think I have any 0 to 18-month clothes. I don't
Yeah.
think.
That's kind of the boat we're in, so.
Yeah.
We need little bitty baby stuff.
Little
but-
bitty baby stuff. Are you gonna? Oh, that's right. You did find out sex. I
Yep.
was gonna ask if you want to leave that.
Yeah, I
surprise,
told you
but
we were having a girl.
That's right.
And so, okay, so here's the awful thing about the clothes and the girls nonsense is they told us we were having a girl, and for 6 weeks I had a name, I had everything planned, and so I had gone through all the boys' clothes and I had sorted everything and I had washed
Oh,
everything
yeah.
and I had hung everything up because there was a consignment going to happen here in town. So I was like price tagging stuff, getting
Yep.
ready to sell it, and then I came back and they're like, "Oh no, it's a boy." So now I have to unhang all of that stuff, and I mean, at least it's sorted by size now.
Yeah.
But unhang it, unbag it, untag it, and get to reuse it. But it's a lot of work for nothing.
Yeah. Do you think people who have like baby 3 and baby 4 should have sprinkles? Like 2, I think is reasonable because
Yeah.
it's just one extra. It's like,
Yeah.
Mom, can I have one more?
think-
and you're like, okay.
Right.
But
I think-
like,
They could probably have sprinkles in the sense that, like, you invite your family who, like, obviously wants to celebrate with you. So, like, maybe have a cookout in your own backyard. You don't, like, rent a huge place to do it.
yeah.
And then, like, if they bring you, like, disposable things, like milk bags or, like, diapers and wipes and stuff like that, good. But, like, don't expect people to, like, gift you again, especially
Yeah.
the big stuff.
Have you started making a baby registry yet?
I had to delete my girl one and start
Oh.
over making a boy one. But it's got a lot of the 0 to 6 to 9 month stuff clothing on it. And then it's got diapers, wipes, and the little bag inserts for the bottles that I use. And that's
Oh,
it
yeah.
because I have everything else.
Are you going to try to get a different pump or are you going to use the same pump?
I'm probably gonna. I actually just talked about that to my mom this morning, because she's got a coworker who has a pump that she didn't like use a lot. So she was like, I don't know, maybe you want to try it, but I can get another one through my insurance. I just don't know what kind of pump to get because I went through 2 with Cadmus and neither of them had enough like suction behind them, so they just didn't do me any good. So I don't know if I want to just hand pump this time and get one of those that I can actually.
they're
like...
awful. I have one. They're bad. They're not fun.
Okay, well, I guess I'm stuck still.
Yeah, sorry. They're not very much
Are
fun.
pumps that expensive that you have to go through
Oh
insurance?
God,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're like $200-$300.
Yeah. Sometimes
of them
even
are-
more.
Yeah,
Like the wearable ones are like 350 plus sometimes.
Yeah, some of them are like $500.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But spending $500 to feed your kid clear up until they're done drinking milk, or spending $60 every week on a can of formula
Yeah.
is right. Either
Well,
way,
yeah.
it sucks.
It's funny because when I got pregnant, they're like, "Oh, you're gonna breastfeed?" I'm like, "Yeah, I ain't
Yes.
paying for that formula. Are you
Right.
kidding me?
Yeah, as long as I
as
possibly
long as
can.
I possibly can. I'm not paying for that."
Right. We have free milk right here. We're going to make it work.
I was not crunchy about it at all. Like, oh yeah, and then I'm gonna watch what I eat. No, I don't want to pay for it.
No, yeah, that was it. Yeah, that was
That
absolutely
was my
it.
whole reasoning.
Yeah, like my OB straight up told me, like, if you can pick up the baby and you're drunk and like you can, like, if you have been drinking, if you can still pick up the baby and walk, you can breastfeed them. You don't have to
Oh
pump
my
and dump
god,
all
your
of
OB
that.
said that?
Yeah, you don't have to pump and dump if you've been drinking alcohol.
Well, I
That seems like a low bar.
Right. Yeah.
I mean-
he's like, as long as you can walk and pick up the kid reliably, you can breastfeed them. And I was like,
Interesting.
dang.
I think my sister-in-law told me this, that you can just wait like an hour for it to metabolize,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you don't even have to dump it.
If you think about it, you normally drinking a beer is only like 0.6 alcohol, right? But like when it goes through your blood and goes through your body, like when you breathalyze yourself, even still, you're getting 0 point something, right? And so like, for that to come out of your milk, it's not even enough alcohol for them to even notice.
We're gonna make a lot of moms mad.
We are. We are.
Is there
absolutely.
a curiosity? So, do you find that there is, other than the cost, obviously, a factor in terms of what you feel is better versus breastfeeding versus formula? Because I know for a fact that I was on formula because at the time my mom had a goiter in her throat and had to have that removed, so
Yeah.
she was not actually allowed to breastfeed me.
Okay.
Oh,
Well,
we can get into that. That's a good
Yeah.
question. So your body naturally attunes to your child. So
And what they need.
In what they need. So sometimes your milk can be like super white and look watery. That's because like it thinks your child is dehydrated. It
Right.
could be yellow and
Super fatty.
That's because it thinks your child just needs
starving.
that.
Right.
Yeah,
They
it's
want food.
starving.
Right.
So-
you also get good antibodies if
Yep.
mom's been sick or baby's been sick. The milk kind of helps with that.
Yep. There are, I know a lot of moms who use their milk for like milk baths. It's
Yeah.
supposed to help with like diaper
Skins.
rash and
Yep.
skin irritation in babies. Like
Yep.
there's all
There's
kinds
also
of crazy.
a fairly recent thing that people have started noticing is that breast milk in the morning has like awake hormones and breast milk at night has melatonin in
Yep.
it, so it helps them sleep more. There's just a whole myriad of things, but like my kid was 50-50 breastfed and like formula bottle fed. And nowadays it seems like the formula is pretty competitive with breast milk, like nutrition and like brain growth wise. A lot of companies are doing more to make sure they get like all of the vitamins and minerals and everything they need in every single bottle. So
There's a new company, it was a Facebook ad that will take all, so the milk supplies is still what
Yeah,
blows
so
my mind,
weird.
is these moms that have deep freezes full
Yeah.
of breast milk. And there are places that you can sell it, and actually like there's people who make a living off selling
yeah.
their breast milk. But there's a place that will dehydrate it for you basically
and make powdered milk.
and make powdered. And
Yeah.
so instead of having it frozen,
That's
your
so cool.
reserves are basically formula now.
That's awesome.
And so you
I bet
put
that's
it
expensive as hell.
in. Yeah, probably. But they send you the box to put it in so it keeps frozen
Yeah.
or whatever. They send it off, and then I think it takes like 1 to 2 weeks and then comes back. And
That's so cool. I wonder
Yeah.
if that like changes the nutritional value of
got
it.
to.
It's got to, you know, like because they tell you like don't even like freeze and thaw like too much or it'll like lose too much nutrition before they eat it and like all kinds of stuff. Feeding babies is weird and hard.
have you ever
So for those that that do that as like I want to say for profession, but like do you sell that? Do they do that long term? Because I know like after a while, I'm guessing if you stop breastfeeding, then the milk stops coming in. So do you have to just keep doing it in order for that to keep going?
Yeah,
You're literally a cow.
just a human cow.
And that's why, and that's basically how you get dairy cows too, is
Yeah.
you have this cow, it calves.
Yep,
And,
then you just keep pumping
you
it.
just keep pumping it, and
Right.
that milk will keep supplying.
Yep.
So you're basically a cow.
Yeah. And I mean, some people it still dries up for, but like if they ever get pregnant again, they'll do it again.
Yeah.
But
Like if you're like really, really good at just
The
timing
schedule.
it, the
Oh my God.
schedule. There was like when I was drying up, because I went back to work, Milton found this like miracle juice thing on the internet. He was trying. This is probably a good segue back to our dad stuff. Like
Yeah.
he knew how upset I was.
yeah, it's
that-
hard.
Yeah, and so he was like doing all these search things. He ordered this
Aw.
like miracle juice because it's supposed to help with lactation
Yeah. Good for him.
and that all thing. And so he ordered some of that for a while, and it was also a sports drink, so it was like double because he could actually drink it too.
That's so funny.
And so I mean, it helped sort of. I think it was more of a mental thing rather
Yeah.
than an actual physical thing.
Barn was definitely supportive too, because like for me it was going back to work, like you said, and it like slowly but surely was drying me up. Cadmus wasn't like eating overnight. Like he was a good baby. He was sleeping through the night. So like I wasn't getting up at 3 or 4 in the morning to pump. So in the morning it was like too much and my boobs were like, nope, we're not going to make anymore. So like I had started to dry up and he was like, well, you know what? We can just do a formula and like you'll get your body back and it won't be that big of a deal and you won't have to stress about it. And it was nice. It really was.
I cried like a baby that day where I did a final wash of all my stuff and bagged it up and put it away.
Yeah.
And
Did you cry also when you put away all the little baby clothes?
oh, no.
Oh, good.
No.
I didn't either. There was a couple of outfits I like kind of shed a tear about because they were like really cute and everything, but like packing up the clothes was not the most emotional thing I did.
I have a box of baby clothes that I save.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So if they were like her dress that she got baptized in, her little onesie that my sister-in-law made, that's daddy's eyes, mommy's thighs. Gosh, there's a couple outfits. It's like a whole box that I have in her closet that it's just, this stuff does not get sold. Everything else to the wayside.
Same. I did the same
So.
thing. Yeah, Barn's not quite as like sentimental about those things. My mom, when I had Cadmus, she gave me this little shoebox that had like my old baby shoes in them, and she's like, here you go, you can keep these now, they're super cute. And I was like, oh, these are adorable, right? And Barn's like, why do people do that? I'm like, what do you mean?
My mom didn't give me that box, and it was a tote full of like 90s baby clothes, the sets. Like these are probably vintage sets. Until after Madeline was too big for him. I'm like, what the heck? She goes, I found it in the basement. I'm like, dang it, Mom.
Barn's mom gave us some of his clothes from when he was a baby. So like there's this pair of jeans that like snaps down the side and like snaps all the way up and down the crotch. So they're like literally like breakaway jeans, right? So I have my cute little, 2022 toddler in these like 90s breakaway jeans.
That is so funny.
It was so cute.
So funny. Did I'm gonna kind of jump into the dads versus significant others. Like when you were growing up, was your dad like as supportive as Barn is? Like, did you
with the kids?
With the kids, like with you kids?
Oh man, it's kind of hard to remember anything that's like when we were really young. My dad works in a lot of like mechanic type stuff, so he would work in like shops, he would work in machines, he would do like CNC stuff back when that was like the new thing. So he was out and did a lot of that like all the time, and he worked nights, so he slept a lot during the day, so we didn't really see him a lot during the day. But there were a few things that like we did with Dad pretty often, things like working on cars and like going hunting and doing stuff like that with him, and those are the things that I probably remember the most. But do
you like I guess, for instance, so my mom did like the majority of everything, like growing up. Like I remember her doing the cleaning. I remember her doing most of the cooking. I think my dad cooked every once in a while, but my parents did get divorced when I was like 8 or 9. So
mine did when I was like 17. So
okay.
Yep.
So I remember my mom did like all the cooking, the cleaning. I think my dad cooked every once in a while, but the majority of like photos from when I was little are mom like doing those things.
Yep. She would take us swimming. She would take us to school, like bring us home from track, all that stuff.
And then when my mom got remarried, I guess both parents got remarried within like 6 months of each other.
Wow.
Yeah. My dad got remarried before my mom, I think. And then 5-6 months later my mom got married. But so I didn't really like, middle school was rough in general. Right. But high school my dad moved to Texas, and so I got a lot closer with my stepdad, and but he did like all the grocery, it was like complete opposite, 'cause he did all the grocery shopping. He did
that's
he
how
cleaned
Barn
a lot.
is.
He
like
Yeah.
He's the one that takes care of the house more than I do. Like my friends and we all joke that like we almost like gender switched because I'm the fun parent and he's the one who like cleans and cooks, and because he's a chef, so he cooks everything I eat. I've not cooked since the day I met him, which is weird. Like I don't have to take care of myself in that way anymore. But like we have an app on our phone where we share like a shopping list and stuff, and like he'll go out and do shopping with Cadmus all by himself and just come home with everything we need sometimes. And I'm just like mind boggled that like that wasn't stereotypical growing up at all, and now suddenly it is, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do with myself. Like I feel weird because like I feel like sometimes I'm not contributing as much as he is. But
yeah, I get that guilt a lot too, especially like the past couple nights I've been working late, and so I got home yesterday and he had went to the grocery store, grilled, mowed the yard, sprayed weeds, all while also taking care of Madeline.
Right.
And so like it made me feel really guilty.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, like I profusely thanked him, like, thank you for like being amazing, doing all this.
Yeah.
And he just like it, and he just responds all the time like it needed done.
Yeah,
so
I'm just gonna do
I'm
it.
like,
Yeah,
well,
it's
I
the
just feel really
that
bad.
almost makes me feel worse too.
Like I understand it needed
like,
done.
oh, it needs it done, and I'm like, oh my god, it needs done because I didn't do it.
because that's what it feels like.
You're
But
right.
he's just always like, it just needed done, so I did it.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
And
okay.
Barnes going back to school, so he's like got college classes on top of all of that, and he still just does so much stuff, and and he works like crazy hours, like 4 p.m. to 3 a.m.
Yeah. And Milton works his normal 8 to 5, and then he also coaches and personal trains a couple kids after work sometimes. And then and he is the one who drops Madeline off and picks her up from daycare because his work is closer, and I work in Salina.
Right.
And so and then in the fall he coaches football. He also has like 3 other jobs that he does on the weekends, and it's just like, how are you holding this together? Because I am a nervous wreck.
That's just crazy. I don't think I could do that either. So are there any similarities between your dad and Milton?
My stepdad. I see a lot of similarities between them just because like they have that same dry sense of humor, and they're like I don't know, they're kind of the same. Like
my dad and Barn are both very like stubborn, I guess is the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
But they also worked in machine shops. They both do CNC stuff. They work with metal and plastics and lasers and all that fun stuff. So
all right,
very similar.
What's your best dad joke?
Oh my god. Okay, I've got a whole slew of them. I'm gonna rattle a couple off really fast. Okay. What do you call a guy laying in front of your door?
I don't know.
Matt. What do you call a guy crammed in your mailbox?
I don't know.
Bill. What do you call 2 dudes chopped up in your hot tub?
Oh God. I don't know.
Stu. What do you call 2 dudes sitting in your window? Kurt and Rod.
Oh my God.
There's just so many of them. I'll let you have a turn.
Mine are not that clever, and I had to Google them. I'm not a big dad joke person, but I think my favorite one growing up is, Madeline loves to go, "Where are you going?" And I'll go, "Crazy."
Yep. That's a great one.
I only seem to get sick on the weekends. I must have a weekend immune system.
That's a good one.
But
what about you back there? I know you're a major proponent of dad jokes.
Oh, anybody who knows me knows I love puns. They are not, as some people think, the lowest form of comedy because it takes wit to make puns. So I will stand by that. Also, to be a pun master, you must accept that all puns are bad and love it anyway, which I do.
Okay.
So, if there's one dad joke that sticks out, the rest of that I've remembered for my entire life, my grandpa used to tell this one, and it is, how do you catch a polar bear? You carve a circle of in the ice to make a hole, and then around the hole you sprinkle peas. And when the bear comes to take a pee, you kick him into the ice hole.
Oh my gosh!
I can see Sydney's disappointment. I've got a couple more. I used to hate facial hair, but then it grew on me.
That's a good one.
Very, very true.
And then let's see, which days are the strongest?
I don't know.
Saturday and Sunday. The rest are weekdays.
I knew it had to be something to do
Something
with
about weekdays,
Like
right?
I was trying to. That's good.
That's a good one.
By the way, I just found out that I'm colorblind. It just hit me right out of the purple.
Okay. I'm looking at this website right now, and I just read
That's
that one,
so
and I was like,
funny.
"Oh, I'm going to
That's
say
a
this
good
one
one.
next." But dang it, he beat me to it.
Is it the 200 best dad jokes of all time? Because that's what I'm looking at.
Yes, it is.
Wow.
Google did its thing and
It
had
sure
the
did.
had the top one.
Oh, that is so funny.
What's Forrest Gump's password? One Forrest one.
Gosh dang it. That's a good one too.
All right.
Oh boy. Well, did you have a mom fail or a mom win or a mom tip or anything for the end of this shindig?
I can't think of one. Again, I've been working late, so I haven't had much Madeline time.
Right.
She has been getting up in the middle of the night, like
my God, yeah.
all week.
Same.
All
Yeah,
week.
My kid got up last night and did the same thing.
All week.
He came to bed with us at 3 a.m. and
No,
kicked us
hard
both
no.
in the faces and rolled around and so I've been
Hard
up
no.
since 3 a.m. I fell asleep for maybe 20 minutes after he went
Yeah.
back to his own bed at like 6
Yeah.
and I've been awake ever since. So
Yeah, I got nothing.
pro tip, don't let your wide awake toddler at 3 a.m. come to bed with you.
Oh, yeah.
Don't do
And
that.
don't let your significant other turn the TV on.
Yeah, it just gets worse.
It just gets
Yeah.
worse after that.
Yeah, nope. Just be like, hush, you're fine. Go back to bed. Tuck them
Yeah.
in.
Yeah,
They'll be okay.
I'll put
It'll be
Madeline
all right.
to bed
I promise.
3 times, and then if she gets up again, then I wake Milton up. I go, "Your turn."
Your turn. Right.
And then that's when she normally comes
Yeah.
to bed. I'm like, "That's not what I meant."
Right. Well, yeah, because dads sleep through it. Dads get kicked
Oh,
in the
yeah.
face and they're just like, get still passed out. Like, this thing touches me anywhere near anything that he shouldn't, and I'm wide awake. I'm just like, why are you touching me? Go away.
All right.
Yeah, I guess that's the end of today's episode. We're going to wrap it up. I guess if you have any good dad stories or you agree or disagree with the stereotypes of dads being overlooked a little bit, let us know.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. Make sure to like and subscribe to
Yep.
our pages, Facebook,
Yep.
TikTok, YouTube.
Yeah, our TikTok's pretty poppin'. It's pretty fun stuff
yeah.
over there.
We're pretty funny.
Yeah, at least we like to think so.
I know so. So yeah, thanks for joining, and we'll see you later.
Bye.